Hey everyone, Shaun Stevenson here, author of the Throne series, and I've actually got another book haul for you. I decided to treat myself the other day and go to a couple of used bookstores that I hadn't been to in a while. So I drove on down and I decided to go visit a couple of them, and I found some fun stuff. So I want to show you all the books that I found. Let's dive in. Okay, so first of all, I remember reading this series back in the day, like a long time ago when I was probably in middle school. I remember checking some of these out from the library because I thought they looked interesting. And I remember really liking them. I actually liked these a lot better than the Hardy Boys. So there's that. But this is the Alfred Hitchcock and the Three Investigators series, The Mystery of the Talking Skull. This is one of the books in the series, and this is one of the older editions of this book. Somebody wrote their name on the cover, but I haven't tried to get it off yet. I might be able to with a little bit of magic eraser I was going to try, because I don't think it's a permanent marker. I don't know, it could be, but we'll see if I can get it off. But this series is like a mystery series that had kind of like in the vein of Scooby-Doo, like the old Scooby-Doo, where there was never anything actually supernatural happening in any of these books, but each one had some kind of mystery that seemed to have something supernatural going on. So I remember reading one that was about a UFO. I don't remember the name of that one, but I remember there was a UFO kind of storyline in it, and it was a lot of fun. These are mystery books. Weirdly enough, Alfred Hitchcock shows up in most of them, where Alfred Hitchcock is kind of like the Alfred Hitchcock, who's the director of movies, kind of Alfred Hitchcock. And he's getting the mysteries to go do, like setting them up with clients to go meet, things like that. So it's very interesting. So this is The Mystery of the Talking Skull. And then I also got, this is one of the 1990s editions. This one is The Three Investigators, The Mystery of the Moaning Cave. And there's part of me that wonders if this is the UFO one, but I can't remember. So, I actually think it's interesting, like the different editions of these. This is kind of that mass market paperback size, and this is that kind of like 90s paperback, like trade paperback size. So these ones, I like the style of these, actually. The artwork on these is pretty cool. These are those like retro vibes that are so fun, but these ones are kind of awesome too. So this one is book number 10 in the series, The Mystery of the Moaning Cave. And then this is a really old edition. This is like this 1960s version. And this is The Mystery of the Sinister Scarecrow. And I almost started to take these off, but they're like disintegrating tape. It's so old. So I decided to leave it on. This looks like it's probably an ex-library book, but I love this little spooky ghost on the side. I thought that was so funny. So this one is definitely a real old edition, and oh yeah, there's where probably the library card was at some point, but the checkout card. So I was excited to find this, and this was like 50 cents. So I thought, well, I'm going to grab it because I want to read this series again. So that is The Mystery of the Sinister Scarecrow. And then I found another book in the Swipe series by Evan Engler. I actually haven't read this series yet. It's kind of like a dystopian, apocalyptic sort of series. And this is book number 2, Sneak. So I have book 1 and book 3, but I did not have book 2. So I'm super curious about these. They're kind of, like I said, they're like a apocalyptic, dystopian kind of storyline. So where there's like someone on the run, that kind of thing. So it sounds really interesting to me. And I kind of love these sort of sci-fi books. And then this one just makes me laugh. This is book number 1 in the Secret Adventures series called Spin, or Truth, Tubas, and George Washington. These books are based on a TV show that was out in the 90s, and it is so 90s. You can tell by her outfit, where she's wearing a tie and a vest and like the backwards beret. I kind of love it. I think it's so funny. So this is about this girl she's a babysitter for these kids, and they can see her imagination. So there's kind of like that imagination angle going on, and in every single episode there's like a section of the episode where it was live action, and then it goes to a cartoon, and it's a lot of fun. So this one is book number 1 of the series. I've actually read the Christmas book, which is book number 5, and it was interesting because the books are all told as if the main character, Drea Thomas, is talking to a voice recorder. So she's like, "Dear Diary, da 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 da, this happened today." So it was a really interesting format for a book that I didn't know what to think about. So I want to read another one to kind of see what I think about this. I think this is my third one of these that I have. I have this one, I believe book 2 and then book 5. And then, okay, so I saw this book and I thought, all right, I'm gonna cave. I've actually known about this series for a very long time, and I just never read them because I didn't know what to think of them. But I decided to go ahead and pick it up because it was all of 89 cents. I picked up book 2 in the Bloodhound series by Bill Myers, The Mystery of the Invisible Knight. This is like a Christian mystery series that's also kind of Scooby-Doo-ish, where there's like supposedly supernatural things going on, but then nothing actually supernatural is ever going on. Bill Myers is the same author who wrote the Forbidden Doors series, which is like the Christian version of Fear Street in my opinion. And he also wrote The Incredible Worlds of Wally McDougal, which is a comedy series. So I'm intrigued by this. I think it looks interesting. I've never read one of these, but I've known about this series for a very long time. So we'll check it out and see what it's like. And then I did not have this one in the series. I've read the first 3 in this series, but I haven't read the rest of the series yet. And that is Kingdom Keepers, book number 5, Shell Game by Ridley Pearson. So this is a series. I read book 3 while I was at Walt Disney World, and you can watch, I have a vlog video up on the channel about that. And this series is about these kids who at nighttime, back up. This is about a series of kids who they decided to become part of this Disney program where their like likeness was used to make these holograms that are in the Disney parks. And the holograms can walk around and talk to people and kind of like interact with them. And at nighttime, they discover that when they fall asleep, they wake up in the Disney parks as the holograms. So they're like in the Disney parks and they discover that the villains of Disney, this one has Ursula in it from The Little Mermaid, all the Disney villains come to life at night and are trying to take over the theme parks. So you also have like Mickey and all those different characters that show up in this series, and it's a lot of fun, especially if you like the Disney World, Disney parks. This is a lot of fun to read because you'll read it and be like, oh, I know where that is, and I know where that is. It's interesting because since they have done a lot of updates of the Disney parks, some things are really different. So like when I was reading book 3 that took place at Epcot and we were actually at Epcot, I remember thinking, oh, that's totally different now, and that ride has changed and that ride's this now. So it's a lot of fun. These are big long books. They're usually like 500 plus pages, and they, I will just say, are not written like the very best of all time, but they're enjoyable. So this one was $1. So I thought, well, for the hardback that's in pretty good condition, has the deckled pages on the edge, you can't go wrong for $1, and I didn't have this one yet. So there's book 5 in Kingdom Keepers. And then I was super excited to find this beautiful edition of this book. I read this book a long time ago when I was in probably middle school or high school, and that is Dorothy of Oz by Roger S. Baum, who is a great-grandson of L. Frank Baum. And this is a beautiful edition of this book. It's in hardback. All of the pages are in great condition. There's like a lot of like color pictures as well in this book. I'm seeing if I can get to one. But in this series, it kind of ignores a lot of Oz lore and just kind of goes to where Dorothy returns to Oz and the things that happen next. So it's a lot of fun, especially if you like Oz books, you like the Oz stories. It's a little different because Roger S. Baum is not as strong of a writer as L. Frank Baum or Ruth Plumly Thompson or Jack Snow or even John R. Neal, who continued the Oz series. So he's not as strong of an author in my opinion, but this is a really great story. This one is actually, they made a CGI animated film of this movie that I believe featured Leah Michele from Glee as Dorothy's voice, and she does songs and things in it. So it was actually a pretty well done film. I actually enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty faithful to the book. So this one is a great one to read in my opinion, especially if you love Oz books. It's a lot of fun. And the nice thing is, it doesn't have all the Oz lore. So if you haven't read like a ton of Oz books, but maybe like one or two of the original series, you could jump into this one so much more easily because you are not sitting there thinking, wait, who is the glass cat? Or what is up with Kabumpo the elephant? Like, who is this? You don't have to worry about that stuff because this takes it kind of back to basics. So I was super excited to find this edition of this book. And then I got another Nightmare Hall book, number 27, Kidnapped. And this one, I'm slowly collecting some in this series. This one was like $1, so I grabbed it. And I don't have books 1, 2 through 10 yet. I have like 11, 22, 24, and now 27. So I'm slowly collecting these, and I can't wait to get book 1 because then I will start reading this series. Because it does seem to have some kind of build across the books from what I can tell. Like I said, though, I haven't read any of them, so I'm not totally sure. But Nightmare Hall is like a spooky book series where there's like this hall where all these different things happen that are scary. So this looks like a lot of fun. And then I was super excited to finally find a copy of this book. This series, I had been watching the adaptation on Netflix of this series, and I was really enjoying it. The series is Lockwood and Co., and this is book number 3, The Hollow Boy by Jonathan Stroud. Now, like I said, I was really loving the Netflix series, and I thought, oh, there's some great reveals going on here. And then I found out it was based on a book that I didn't know it was based on books before. So I thought, I kind of don't want to finish this because I actually would like to go read the books instead of watching the show because, unfortunately, the show was canceled. So I thought, okay, it seems like they have not covered a lot of the books. It seems like they were covering kind of like books 1 and 2 and barely into book 3. And I did not finish the episode. So I don't know what happens in the show. But I decided I'm going to start picking up these books. And I haven't started the series yet because I know that when I read book 1, I'm going to devour this series. So I finally found book 3. This was the only one I didn't have in the series, and so now I've got it. The basic premise of this series is there are ghosts that have been like unleashed upon the world, and like teenagers are the only ones who can see them and kind of like stop them. So this girl, she's like on a journey to become one of these people who fights ghosts, like a Ghostbuster sort of idea. But there's a lot of stuff going on that it just unravels, and so many plot twists and reveals. I can't wait to read this series. So that is The Hollow Boy by Jonathan Stroud. And then I found another Berenstain Bear book that I did not have in the big chapter book series, and that is The Berenstain Bears and the School Scandal Sheet. Now, I remember this one. I had this one when I was growing up, and I remember it, and I was super excited to find it, because this one is about like a school newspaper where the students don't like the school newspaper, so they decide to start their own school newspaper, and it's like kind of a rebel situation. So I remember this one. I liked it a lot. I cannot wait to reread this book. And then this was kind of an interesting pickup because this one is the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles Trek to Doom, which is book 5 in the series. And this one, there are 2 kind of series of Young Indiana Jones Chronicles. There are books that are original stories, which I like those better. And then there are these ones, which are based off the television series, which I'm just going to tell you right now. The television series, The Young Indiana Jones Chronicles, is so boring. I'm sorry if you love it. I find it so boring. I have tried to watch episodes of it. I cannot get into them. I have tried, and I couldn't do it. But I found this, and I thought, well, I bet I would be okay reading a book of this. So I picked this one up because this is in the series of ones that's like novelizations of episodes from the TV show. So this one is number 5, Trek to Doom, and it looks kind of interesting. So I'm intrigued to read it. This one is one of those books that because it's based on a television show, it has pictures from the episode in the book, which is kind of fun. So this one will be interesting to read. I'm a big Indiana Jones fan, so I'm going to go for it. And then I was super excited to find this book. I had forgotten that this series existed. I read it when I was young. I believe I got it from the library. I didn't own these books, but I got it from the library and I loved it. And it is a choose your own adventure, but it is a Super Eye Adventure. And this one is book number 2, Monster House. And what this series is it's choose your own adventures, but it has stereograms in them. Those things where you have to kind of like squint at them or like cross your eyes a little bit and like pull back to see the hidden 3D picture in the midst of all those dots. So you use there's tons of stereograms in the book, and you use them to help you decide where you want to go when you make choices in this choose your own adventure style book. So I'm excited to read this. It is a blast from the past. I had totally forgotten about this series. Then I saw this and I thought, oh, no way. My mind is like blown, like core memory unlocked. So I'm super excited to read this. And then I decided that I would, when I found them, I would start to pick this series back up because I have some of them, but I don't have all of them. And it is a Star Wars series. Now, it is a Star Wars series from back in the day, so it's not a current Star Wars series. So technically it's now part of the Legends. For me, growing up, this was my extended universe of Star Wars. So I'm not making any comments about current Star Wars stuff. It is just, I don't want to even go there. I try to be positive. So I'm not going to go there. Please don't talk about current Star Wars stuff in the comments. I will delete them if it's negative. So, and not in the sense of like, if you have an honest critique, but if it goes to unhealthy places, I'm going to delete it. So don't do it. But you can talk about the old school stuff. I love the old school stuff. I'm a big Star Wars Galaxy of Fear fan, a Star Wars Junior Jedi Knights fan, a Star Wars Choose Your Own Adventure books fan, and I'm a big Young Jedi Knights fan. I love these books. I've read them all, and I didn't have them all because my brother and I kind of had like half the series. Like I had half of them and he had half of them. And so we would just trade them back and forth when we wanted to read the next one in the series. So I picked up 2 more of these that I found that I did not have. This is The Lost Ones. And this one, I believe, is the 3rd or 2nd book. Oh, I can't remember right now off the top of my head. Believe it's the 3rd book in the series, but I might be wrong. This one's called The Lost Ones. And these are all about Han Solo and Leia Organa's kids, Jason and Jaina, who are these twins that are at the Jedi Training Academy with Luke Skywalker. So it's like a whole thing. There's a lot of other characters that show up. There's kind of like the thing where cameos from like famous Star Wars characters show up throughout these. So these are a lot of fun. I really enjoyed them back in the day. I have not reread them, but it's Kevin J. Anderson and Rebecca Moesta. So it is like sci-fi royalty that wrote these books. So I don't think it could be bad on retrospect. So this one is The Lost Ones. And I also picked up book 4, Lightsabers, which I remember this one very vividly. This one had lightsaber battles that were really cool because this is when they like kind of first get their lightsabers, and it's a lot of fun. So I really enjoyed this series back in the day, and I can't wait to reread some of these. I have book 1. I don't have book 2, but now I have like 3 and 4 and a few other ones. So, and I actually have some of the later ones in the series too, which are getting really rare and harder to find. So I'm glad that I have those, and I will not get rid of them because I liked this series a lot. So that is my most recent little used trip book haul. I was super excited to go visit those bookstores because it's just fun to like go take some time and just go walk around a bookstore. So, you know, if you need a little self-care, there's nothing wrong with walking around a used bookstore and taking a look at what's there. You know, just taking that time to, you know, go walk around the bookstore, look at what there is. You know, don't put pressure on yourself. Just don't give yourself a time limit and just go and have fun. Because you never know what you might find. You might find some fun pickups. And like all of this I got for super cheap because I use bookshop because I think that's where it's at. I think it's more fun because there's like a thrill of the hunt and like finding the books that you're looking for. It's a lot of fun. So until next time, everybody, keep reading. Bye.